We're back with some tiny microphone interviews, and this week I'm highlighting women in environmental work, and I have
Josephine Locke, Joe Locke.
And Joe, can you tell us a little bit about your connection to environmental work in Indiana?
Sure. So I can't really remember a time when I haven't been interested in nature and environment. But we moved to Indiana in 2011. My husband and my family and my young son, who was 2 at the time. And I started out just kind of donating to charities and being involved in the Indiana Native Plant Society and the Indiana Wildlife Federation. But since 2018, I started an enterprise called Knows No Limit, and I got more active in environmental work. And since then, I have taken the Master Naturalist program, and I have been part of the group that helped to form the Boone County Invasives Cooperative, and I've also recently joined the Zionsville Parks Foundation board.
Awesome. And can you tell me a little bit about Knows No Limit? Just go into a little more detail about it.
Sure. Well, so the name was inspired by some research which was looking at how whether there was a limit to the number of target odours that a dog could learn to sniff out. And so, as the name suggests, they didn't actually find a limit. So in the lifetime of a dog, they haven't actually found a limit to the number of target species or target odours that a dog can find. And so I've been involved in training dogs to sniff things out with their noses for about 12 years now. I started out in search and rescue, and then in 2018 I started transitioning to conservation work and teaching dogs to find plants and animals to help researchers to find endangered and invasive species and to learn a bit more about their habitats so they can protect them.
Yeah, which is super awesome. It's a really unique thing. And I was curious, are there like certain breeds of dogs that are better for this type of work, or is it just any breed can do it?
Well, it's less about breed and more about physical characteristics and like health and stamina and kind of behavioural characteristics. So you need dogs that have got the right kind of coat and physically able to work in the various different environments and under different weather conditions, and also dogs that can be safe in those environments and that won't be safe around wildlife.
Mm-hmm. What has been your favorite project you've worked on with Knows No Limit?
I think that would probably have to be the ornate box turtle project. They're fascinating creatures. They're already in a lot of trouble. They're state endangered in Indiana, they're state endangered in Wisconsin. Their numbers are declining really rapidly. And so it was a real challenge, first of all, to train the dogs, because it took several weeks to find enough species to train the dogs with. I had to find captive species, and I was left with 2 weeks between training and deploying to teach the dogs the odour. Yeah, it was a quick turnaround. And despite that, we still managed to find two individuals in the 3 days that we were searching. And it was also the last project I did with my dog Willow before she died.
Oh yeah, I remember Willow. How many? So you have one dog right now?
Yes, I have Holly now.
Oh, cute.
Mm-hmm.
And what breed is Holly?
She's a black Labrador as well.
Mm-hmm. And how has your research helped conservation efforts? I know that's a loaded question, but how does your research get into, ways to make change in other conservation efforts?
Well, we've been involved in lots of projects. So we've been involved in finding bat carcasses, and so that's helped researchers to try and figure out how to help reduce the numbers of migrating bats that are being hit by wind turbines. We've found eastern and ornate box turtles, which has helped researchers with that. On the ornate box turtle project, for instance, the way that Willow worked those searches and the consistency that she went to certain parts of the prairie gave the researchers a lot of clues about how and where to set up their drift fences the following year, because it was obvious where the turtles were moving most in that area. We've also been involved in bumblebee nest work with Conservation Dogs Collective, and so that's helped researchers to figure out the habitat that queen bees are using to build their nests in the spring when they emerge from hibernation. What else? I've also done some rare plant work, which, what else? There was something else I was going to say. Can't remember
Oh, that's a lot of projects.
I know.
Oh, you know?
Yeah, so we're also currently working on an aquatic invasive species, which is the New Zealand mud snail. And not only are we hoping to prove that dogs can be a really valuable early detector for that really dangerous invasive aquatic snail, but we're also hoping that because of the way we're approaching that research and approaching that training, we're hoping that it will contribute to the science of canine scent detection, because we're approaching it in quite a different way to the way a lot of scent detection work is done.
That's awesome. That is so many cool projects you've worked on. Thank you for telling me a little bit about what you do. Now I have some more personal questions, I guess. Why is nature important to you?
I think nature is actually important to all of us. I think we're mistaken in thinking that we're apart from nature. I think we're an integral part of it, and I think we depend upon it for, it's our home and it's our livelihood. And I kind of think that all of us should protect nature the way we protect our families.
That's awesome. Is there like a specific moment from your childhood or early adult years that kind of inspired you to really get into environmental work or get into conservation dogs? Is there any?
I can't actually remember a time when I wasn't interested in nature. My earliest memory is in the UK, and I collected a bunch of garden snails in a box, and I just sat and watched them, and I watched them mate, and I watched them lay eggs, and I watched the little snails forming the eggs. And then at age 5, we emigrated to Bahrain. My dad got a job flying passenger planes. And the night before we left, I was really upset because I'd rescued an orphaned hedgehog, and I was really upset about who was going to look after the hedgehog. So, I mean, my whole life I've just been, collecting strays and protecting animals and working, every time I can with conservation work. So.
And if you had to choose a favorite dinosaur park, which park would it be and why? It's a hard question.
I like them all for different reasons, but I think probably I spend most of my time in Starkey because it's the biggest one, and I can in the mornings I can walk for like an hour, and it's really peaceful and quiet and peaceful.
Yeah, you can kind of get lost at Starkey a little bit. Okay, last question. When you're not working, when you're not doing conservation dogs, what's your favorite outdoor activity?
Well, I love to hike with my family and with my dog, and I really love to work in my garden, planting natives. And, of course. And I like growing vegetables too, but I like growing plants in my garden.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Jo. That's all I've got for you. Everyone give Jo some love. Goodbye.